Evening, everybody. Me again, Shannon Fox here, Devoted Patriots 2 channel, and I've got some good news for you, some information, and the foremost expert on this Usaid situation is a guy named Mike Benz. You may know of him. I've watched him a lot on the Benny Show, been following him for a couple of years, but he's the guy in 2021 that was breaking down all the money that was being filtered to Usaid that was being wrongly abused, and he's been on it like a duck on a June bug for 3 years. I was over at his channel today, just scrolling back as far as I could go back on his Twitter videos. This guy is an expert on a lot of things involving the deep state, but for a fact, he probably knows more about you said than anybody I have seen. I would say he is probably the most foremost expert, or one of the foremost experts on it. He's like Cash Patel with the Steele dossier, Julie Kelly with the January 6th exposure. He's the guy. This is our frontline chess pieces in this battle we're going through, or going to be going through over the next 4 years to take our country back. Because it's not going to happen in a week or a month or with an executive order. It's going to take strategic planning and great maneuvering by people like Mike Benz. He's one of the good guys. He's just I can't say enough good things about him. I watch him, like I said, on Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson has him on pretty regular. But this guy can, just like Cash Patel, go down the rabbit hole and tell you about the deep state and about all the NGOs, the foundations, the crooked situations going on with the lobbyists, and just super smart guy. Before I get into that, I got three little headlines I'm going to bring you over here on the Gateway Planet, and then we'll jump into some more information we found out about you said today, and it is unbelievable the amount of information that's pouring out. I'm waiting to get an itemized list of everything for the last several years, what you said actually spends the money on, or supposedly spent the money on. I think the money probably never leaves the country, or maybe even just a crumb of it does, but I don't think they're funding a lot of this crazy stuff. I think they're just using it as a excuse to write off, because they're not building these schools that they spend $40 billion to, or $40 million that they say they're going to build a school in Ghana or somewhere. School never got built, so somebody's obviously bilking the money. Let's go ahead and get into these headlines real quick, and we'll jump over to some Mike Benz news about you said, and several other great clips involving the same situation. It says, Trump's EPA, Environmental Protection Agency's house cleaning begins. 1,000 bureaucrats get termination notices through an email. So there's 1,000 going out. It says showdown. FBI turns over names of 5,000 employees who worked on January 6 cases. This comes after officials sued to block the DOJ from assessing the list of agents. The list was coming out anyway. Good news. Now we know who all was involved. We're going to find out their exact involvement, actually investigate them. It's going to be glorious, folks. Some of them are going to they're going to have the choice to resign or be fired. Some of them are going to be prosecuted either way, or quit. Actually, three choices. Wow. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he went to El Salvador, and he got a. Only way I say this is probably one of the strangest agreements I can imagine. You could expect from one of our statesmen going over to another country. What happened is the leader of El Salvador says, not only were we willing to take our illegals back to our country, we're allowed to take the worst of the worst in your country, American or illegal. If you got a prison overcrowding problem, basically, if you got a detention center overcrowding problem, or you need a place to really put the really bad guys like the Trinity Araguas, he says, I'll take them. He says, send them to me. I got lots of prisons over here, and I know how to handle it for a fee. So he's not only willing to take anybody from any country into his country, migrate them, especially if it comes to being able to put them in a cage for a fee, housing fee. Sounds like a plan. I'm glad to see people getting on board. We got them helping with flights now. We're going to have them helping with the incarceration process. We're going to have them help them in all the maneuvering logistics it takes to get these people out. And I'm so glad to see it. It's fixing to happen, folks. Happening with the quickness. I never imagined we would see so much in such a short amount of time. This was, if we got this much in 4 years, I'd have been happy. This is what we got in 2 weeks. He's just getting started, folks. I hope it don't slow down, and really don't think it will. There'll always be something shaking up in the news every day. Trump making decisions that just rocks the world once again. All right, folks, let's get into Mike Benz. Like I said, if you don't know the great Mike Benz, um, definitely check him out. He is one of the good guys. I'm bringing scroll Mike Benz at Mike Benz Cyber up there. So, yep, I broke this story and the specific Usaid 2021 disinformation primer, Usaid. So in 2021, he broke the story on Usaid because he had been investigating it for years and years. And he's actually on several people's show today doing lots of interviews, him being the expert on this stuff. But he's on Jack the Sobek today. But what I wanted to show you was he was on Benny's show the other day and had a graphics for dummies. Somebody like me can actually see and understand when you got little pictures and shapes and things. When you explain stuff, sometimes it's a little easier to comprehend if you got a visual, and easier to remember as well. And so I'm gonna steal this clip here from Benny Johnson. This is Mike Benz explaining how the whole USAID, NGOs, deep state, State Department funding through the Congress that doesn't realize the money's being allocated for those particular situations. It's a whole screwy deal, but he's going to break it down for us, folks. Here we go. All right, let me fix my screen real quick. I'm sure it's off. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, here we go. This is definitely explains a lot. This thing better not spool on me today. I had that problem yesterday going on.
What is USAID? When people hear the name USAID, they focus on aid. They focus on thinking like it's humanitarian work. But aid is not actually in the name of USAID. USAID stands for the United States Agency for International Development. Not aid. It's not a charity. And international development is simply capacity building. It is local and regional capacity building done across the whole world, i.e. internationally. The primal id in USAID, international development, is about capacity building of assets that can be used by either the Pentagon, the State Department, or the CIA for their own activities. So if you're the Secretary of State and you were asked by the National Security Council or the President to do something in a different country, overthrow their government, stop the passage of a bill in a foreign country's legislature, how would you do that? And the first thing that I said is you would look at the assets that already exist in the country. Do we need new assets in addition to the ones that we currently have, or are the existing assets, can they achieve this simply by giving them enough money, giving them enough resources, giving them enough training, giving them enough support? One of the main ways that capacity building would be financed would be through USAID. USAID would say that it's doing something, funding a hospital system, funding universities, funding civil society organizations, funding media institutions, funding independent media in the region. Sorry, there's something in my eye. Independent media in the region on USAID payroll. And those institutions, those assets, would then be bigger and more powerful and more capable capacity, more capable of serving the State Department's goal, aka advancing U.S. national interests. USAID has a bigger budget than the State Department, over $50 billion. It is a bigger budget than the CIA. The entire intelligence community only has about 72 billion. So that's the CIA plus the 16 others. And USAID has a bigger budget than the CIA and is almost the size of the entire intelligence community combined.
Y'all hear that? The budget of USAID is almost equivalent to the budget of the entire intelligence community. This is the hidden arm, the coin purse, should I say, of the deep state. This is how everything is done. Everything is done with money and influence. And you got to have a massive purse in order to make this stuff work for them, whatever their next secret project is, or frivolous project is, or just way to launder steal money. This is a racketeering, laundering situation like our country has never seen. This is exposing why we can't pay our bills, why we have a deficit, why uh, we pay in enough taxes to have great health care, but we still got to go pay for our own medical treatment. There's so many things we could have had fixed on the way if we'd have just had good government. But from the beginning, the NGOs and organizations, like you said, have really um, cut into our worth, our tax dollars, our spending. All right, let's get back into it. Definitely very informative guy. I like Mike Benz. I listen to him anytime. Bear with me. This thing is having a spooling spree today. I guess I got
That
lots
is
of
how important
internet going.
USAID is to American statecraft. It is an intelligence community, a State Department, and a Pentagon assistance organization rolled into one. I just copied this from the USAID website. USAID carries out U.S. foreign policy, advances U.S. national interests by promoting broad-scale human progress. At the same time, it expands stable, free societies, creates markets, and trade partners for the United States, and fosters goodwill abroad. The operative phrases here are carries out U.S. foreign policy. This is not charity work. This is not aid. This is cynical, self-serving purposes. And what is it seeking to do? Free societies, open societies. Why does USAID want other countries to be open societies? Because that's how you get the influence in. If a country is a closed society, they're closed off from USAID influence. We cannot capacity build our assets there. Closed societies box USAID out. China is a closed society. That is why we have not been able to topple the government of China, despite having tried for 100 years now almost. We have not been able to topple Putin from Russia. Why? Because Russia is a closed society. Like China, they kicked USAID out. It is not an open society. And so the USAID can't just take over their entire media ecosystem by funding 100 different media propaganda outlets in the region to sway hearts and minds. And remember, that's what this is. It's hearts and minds and cash. That's what soft power is. They call it hearts and minds work, but it's cash that does the moving of those hearts and minds, especially of the leaders of the movements.
Pretty informative, just that right there. That explains a lot to me as far as the chain of command, how the trickle down effect works. However, how the State Department by itself doesn't have the money, but they can get the money allocated, most likely probably through Congress or through backdoor budgets that they lie about the expense of one thing, so they got twice the money, so they got money for the other thing. You know how they do it. It's a money laundering scheme, and I'm going to say this now because I have heard nobody speak about this on the internet yet, but this is just something that I clicked on. We find out that you said collected 40 something $billion out of the $170 billion we were supposed to send to Ukraine. And Zelensky said he got about $70 billion, so that still doesn't account for about 60 to $100 billion if the numbers are right. So my question is, we know the Bidens and Obamas and the Clinton Foundation and all these organizations that were playing middleman in the situation, we're getting paid. We know Ukraine has been doing business with the Bidens for years and years, and we now know that Usaid has been funding Ukraine for years and years. So I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. Are we going to find out through digging in the books of Usaid that the Biden administration, maybe the Obama administration, maybe Biden himself directly, or one of his foundations or charity groups or LLCs, most likely an LLC, is directly tied into payments from USAID? I guarantee you, before this is all said and done, we're going to see who, not just how much money was missing, how it was mismanaged, who it was sent to, but who all was involved. Heads are going to roll, folks. This is the biggest crime of the century for our country. Believe it or not, this is the biggest coin purse for the lunatic left that our country has ever seen. This is why our elections are stolen. This is why our borders are open. This is why our immigrants are being pumped in this country. This is why our media is censored. This is why the deep state has tentacles everywhere in order to do things like try to assassinate Trump. It's very possible that our tax dollars paid for everything they've done to Trump, from the prosecutions to the attempted assassinations. Just throwing it out there, folks. All right, I'll get off my speculations, but if they say in a week or so, we now know Biden was involved in the USAID, and this is how much money he got, I called it first. I may have to dig that up and see if I can find something on Biden involved in USAID. There may be some information out there already, and nobody's asked the question. Wouldn't that be special? Somebody want to look that up for me? One of my listeners. How is Biden tied to USAID? What organizations did Biden receive money through USAID from? That's probably a good AI question. Now, I want to read you something right here. I ain't got my glasses on, but it says USAID exposes. Oh, there we go. I found them. It says USAID exposed the single largest criminal fraud organization operation in human history. The public outrage over USAID corruption is now at scale and mainstream. USAID has been fully exposed as a left-wing money laundering criminal organization. Here's what our researchers are able to find out when looking into the expenditures of why President Trump and Elon Musk must shut it down. And this is just a few. Haiti post 2010 earthquake, $1.14 billion was spent on Port Power Plant project promoted by Bill Clinton. The project was never built anything. So Bill Clinton had something to do with $1.14 billion to build a invisible power plant. Cuba, 2006. Audit showed $74 million in democracy promotion funds vanished without oversight. Poof, like a magic trick. Afghanistan, millions squandered on health scams, hospitals never built. Nigeria, Kim, Chemonics, a major USAID contractor, was linked to a subcontractor overbilling scandal, hundreds of millions lost. That's what they do. They farm it out to their brother, and everybody gets paid. COVID-19 funding, USAID sent over $40 million in taxpayer money to a scientist located in Wuhan to do the gain of function, mutations, and research. This led directly to the creation and release of the COVID. So they are definitely they don't need to just be disbanded. Somebody needs to go to jail for this. 2.5 million DEI to $2.5 million for DEI in Siberia, 70,000 for a Irish DEI musical, $47,000 for transgender opera, 32,000 for a trans comic book in Peru, and that was linked to Anthony Blinken's daughter and son. Go figure. So his fingerprints are all over that one. $20 million for an Iraqi version of Sesame Street to promote gayness. LGBT or Egypt and Tunisia, $56 million for tourism. My question is, why are we paying for tourism for other countries? Is the pyramids not enough? We got to pay them too. I mean, if somebody wants to go see the pyramids or the Sphinx or something, we shouldn't have to pay for their tourism racket to get people to pay money to come to their country to spend money with them. That doesn't benefit us not one drop. If it does, we don't know who's getting the money. The country of Jordan, $40 million for schools. Now, did they build the schools? I don't know. I doubt it. Vietnam, $11 million to fight trash burning. I don't see them preventing that. Central America, $27 million to deport the gift bags. So if you're kicking somebody out of the country, they need a gift bag to go. Maybe some sliced cheese in there, summer sausage, maybe some to go socks. I don't know. Trump lawfare, $27 million to fund left-wing prosecution of populist political opponents around the globe. Trump lawfare. That's a tough one there. Dang. Including Donald Trump, patently illegal. Dang. And countless billions more. Here's the things the majority of the money never went to the projects they claim to be promoting. It's just pure money laundering for your tax dollars to keep the deep state left-wing activists paid. USAID is likely the largest fraud operation in human history. Trump and Elon are ending it. Watch it. Watch who cries out the loudest, as they are the true criminals. That's a fact. Anybody that's against us saving money by doing away with scams and fraud is part of the fraud. No doubt about it, folks. Yeah, these Chucky Schumers, we're going to find out he was making money off this. We're going to find out most people in Congress are making money through this. Is what we're going to find out in the end. And I just have to believe that. It wasn't a secret that this was going on to probably the people involved, but to the American public, we didn't know. It says breaking news: Trump just called for an investigation to find out who's getting kickbacks from all this ludicrous money spent at Usaid. There you go. That's what I'm talking about right there. Now you know why the Democrats are sweating. They are in full blown panic. Now you know the hammer of justice is coming. Oh, this makes me happy. Here we go.
Musk, sir, thank you, sir. On Elon Musk, how often are you talking to him? And have there been ideas that he's brought to you that you've said, oh no, wait a minute, this is going a little too far?
Well, many ideas, but look, he's done a great job. Look at all the fraud that he's found in this USAID. It's a disaster. What the people, radical left lunatics, they have things that nobody would have even believed. The whole thing with $100 million spent on you know what, with money going to all sorts of groups that shouldn't deserve to get any money. With the money, I'd like to see what the kickbacks are. How much money has been kicked back? Who would spend that kind of money to some of the things that you read about and I read about and I see every night on the news and every morning when I read the papers? Who would spend money for that? I would say this: the people that got all that money, are they kicking it back to the people that gave it from government? No, that's, to me, very, very corrupt. The real question is, how much of a kickback has there been? And one of the things I want to investigate rapidly, because I've never seen anything to this.
Want to investigate it rapidly. I like that word. That's a good adjective right there. Rapidly. We'll get a special counsel, put it together tomorrow, get this thing all shelled out in about a week. We'll get him indictments dropped, subpoenas dropped, put cash and tail on it as soon as he gets confirmed. He's going to be a busy man. I hope he's got a lot of good prosecutors and detectives that are going to be able to do great investigative work underneath him. I hope he's got him a good team of people that he trusts at this point. This guy here has a great take on what's going on. I listen to him sometimes. Just great words. Here we go.
So Doge ended USAID today. What is USAID? Well, it's not aid. It's the U.S. Agency for International Development. It was a CIA slush fund and money laundering operation for NGOs. They just found the devil's fucking purse and they just cut it off. Who were they funding? Well, people like the Clinton Foundation. Oh, imagine that. See how the CIA would do it. If the CIA wants to do something, they would have to go to Congress for approval for the funds. So what they did was they used this U.S. Agency for International Development to simply write grants and send billions of dollars around the world for all their corrupt shit. There was this, how in the fuck, people, to the tune of $100 billion or $200 billion. They can't tell yet because it's so corrupt. They don't even know how much money it is. No wonder those people locked themselves in the building and the U.S. Marshals had to kick the door down and drag them out. People, we are only 3 weeks in, and this is going to be a full-on revolution. There is no resistance. Trump has zero resistance up against him. Oh, the USAID. What else were they funding? Gain of function. That's where the money was coming from. You've heard that gain of function is funded by the CIA. Yes, it is. Right through here. They have the paper trail for corona gain of function. And guess what other gain of function? Bird flu. They were gonna hit us with a fucking bird flu pandemic. Yeah, that's why Trump silenced the FDA, CDC, NIH. They were gonna launch another scamdemic on us and he stopped it. There is nothing that can stop what is coming now. Their money has been cut off. All those fucking crooked fucks. Donald Trump has fucking removed the security clearances for nearly over 100 federal people. Bolton, Pompeo, Brennan, All the top names, any talking head you've ever seen. Not only that, but then he banned them from entering any federal buildings. People, this is better than I ever thought it could be. Oh my God, we're just gonna watch it crumble. We're gonna watch it crumble. What are the liberals crying about? CNN today is crying about how fucking in the federal building, in the FBI building, they're painting over a diversity mural. Perfect. You guys stay worrying about that while we're clean up this fucking country. Go cry in the corner. The adults are back to work. This is the upswing, people. Long live the Republic. This is a revolution. I'm fucking here for it. It's beautiful. Good luck.
Long live the revolution, and I'm here for it too, folks. Absolutely. This guy's on fire with the truth. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Yeah, we're learning so everything evil that has been said on our country in the last 8 years or set upon even politicians like Trump has been funded by somebody. We're now finding out that the NGOs were funded through Usaid, which was funded through State Department shenanigans to control not just our country and our government, but people's minds and every other country and government in the world, with the exception of a few that said, y'all are not welcome here. George Soros spends less money on making DAs crooked. You know how George Soros has 80-something crooked DAs in the United States that he's peppered around all these blue cities in order to keep people from being locked up over crimes. Well, we thought he was the big donor behind that whole movement. No, you said spends more money than George Soros, almost by twofold. So we thought George Soros was the devil. Whoever is in control of Usaid is obviously higher up on the rung in that hierarchy. But here we go. Let's get back into it. I got a few more clips for you today here, folks. Going right on down the line. Get some more Mike Benz going for you. Yeah, I guess I had trouble with that video for some reason. I apologize. Nothing seems to work perfectly ever. It just goes how it goes. Now, this is a long clip, but we're not going to play but just a little bit of it. It's a little bit of Alex Jones, but this is the guest he had on his show. First minute or so, I just wanted to put a little bit more of the facts out there of what we know about Usaid. Just a little more kernels.
The USAID has been funding, which is our tax dollars through government grants and loans, Project Predict, which is the creation of COVID. There's NGOs such as the Catholic Charity Scam and the Lutherans and the Jewish Family Services, $300 million a month to facilitate illegal immigration. USAID is funding the BBC. It came out this morning. They are funding the piggy bank. They're larger than the CIA.
Rip the mask off and say it's a CIA. And what is the advantage to the American people? You mentioned that it gave the money to a same sort of folks throughout the world. Who are those folks, and why is it an advantage to the populist nationalist movement in the American working man and woman to basically rip the mask off, face what it is, and then shut it down, sir?
Well, this is a very, very complicated question, and I really hope that Trump World Foreign Policy folks understand the open heart surgery they're conducting on the way our foreign policy operates around the world. And in terms of why it's a bad thing that USAID does what it does, this is one of these questions that, you know, I've known and followed this stuff for many years, but I never made a crusade about taking it on until USAID got in the business of censoring the internet. And at that point, and censoring Americans on the American internet, and censoring American social media companies as a foreign-facing humanitarian NGO sponsor, that everyone knows is just the CIA's plausible deniability layer and funding conduit. But when it started to be used against Americans on American soil, that to me was the final straw. That no matter how useful it may be to spend $40 billion a year bribing warlords in Africa, bribing oligarchs in Ukraine, bribing and recruiting terrorists in Afghanistan and Pakistan and Syria, disguising medical supply vans, in Venezuela with boxes of AK-47s and military supplies. The fact is it is no longer a foreign policy instrument. It is a domestic control instrument, and that is the final straw. You can't do that to Americans.
He's right. You can't do that to Americans, and I agree with that 100%. All right, folks, I got this thing spooling again. I don't know what the hell is going on today. All right, let me jump back. All right, we're going to the next one. Yeah, this is another great, important note, piece of information Mike Benz put out that I didn't realize. You can't just defund USAID, which is a huge wound to the problem. Will definitely do some damage. But to finish it off, you have to go up to the State Department. He says killing USAID doesn't end USAID. It now gives the State Department a USAID herpes infection unless billions in bad grants are ended permanently and not respawned by the State Department inherited USAID portfolio. So basically, the State Department, if you destroy USAID, they'll just rename it, put it in another place, have different people running it, and continue business as usual. He's basically saying the State Department doesn't want to be out of the slush fund money laundering business, and destroying the money, the purse, is one thing, but you literally are going to have to stop the people that are doing this. You're going to have to stop the CIA from policing the world with an endless budget at our expense, and that's just the fact, folks. So it's not one yet. A lot of this is probably going to have to go through Congress when it comes to cutting budgets and things, and so we may have a fight on our hands. I don't know, but I know it's not going to be easy. But shutting down the agency seems easy at this point. Cutting funding, I think Trump can probably executive order a lot of that. But some of this, eventually, this is going to end up causing some kind of stalemate in Congress. I almost guarantee you, because there's some squishy rhinos that are making plenty of money off USAID. They do not want this thing to go by the wayside. I know they don't. Now, I try not to bring y'all too much left-wing media news. I brought you two or three clips back-to-back yesterday. A couple of people were like, oh, I see enough of that already. Well, this is a good kind of left-wing clip. This is racked nerves, salty tears, and fretting a little bit too hard. This is Andrew McCabe, another one of the 51 intel agents that supposedly denied the laptop and swore to the Russia collusion and all that crap. He's one of the Trump haters. Well, of course, he works over here at the CNN. He's a commentator over on CNN. And he's talking about the fear and panic at the FBI behind Trump. So good.
The work that they do, is lawful. It's within FBI policies, and not doing the work is not really an option for them, right? They come to the FBI. Most of them come intending to stay for the entirety of their careers, 20 years or more, 20 years on the agent side, a little bit more for the support side. And so to be targeted in this way for termination potentially or retribution simply for doing their jobs on a major national security case is incomprehensible to them or anybody that knows the organization. I've talked to more FBI people in the last 4 days than I did in the prior 4 years. As John has described it accurately, it is a place in utter disarray right now. People are worried about, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to support my family? If I lose, if you're anywhere in the middle of that career, not close to retirement, if you get fired, you're done. That's the end of your reputation, your ability to get a new job. You lose your pay, you lose your chance at a pension, you lose your health insurance. This is a moment of terror for these people. It is absolutely disgraceful that they are being put through this in the middle of some political gamesmanship or active retribution. They don't deserve to be treated this way. It's unlawful and it's disgusting.
And John, just for quickly, I mean, these are people who have years of field knowledge, years of law enforcement backgrounds who are potentially.
I heard McDonald's is hiring. I don't know what to tell you guys. Get out there and go find you a job at a temporary service. Your security clearances will be revoked. You may end up being prosecuted, and at the least, your ass is getting fired. So you better go figure out what you're going to do. You got a few weeks to figure it out before people start throwing subpoenas at you. It's coming though. Some of them are going to get fired immediately. Some of them, what he's trying to say is that they're just following orders. Well, I'm sure some of them were just following orders, but I'm sure a lot of them were following orders, and they really enjoyed their job. And when they weaponized the government against Trump, it's no holds barred at that point, as far as I'm concerned. Anybody that went out of their way to punish J6ers or to incriminate Trump on things that were fictitious, those people are criminals. There's a T word for them, but we'll leave that one alone being here on CommieTube. But I got one more last clip for you today, folks. I thought it was a little bit interesting. Probably going to get me a copyright issue, but this is the perfect parody song that should be played for the Democrats outside of the Usaid building that are still out there wailing and gnashing their teeth. Maybe this needs to be played in Congress as well, just to let them know what we think about government. Now, I'm sure you've heard this song.
Take your money, with a twinkle in their eye. Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government. The government can. And who can tax the sunrise? Who can tax the trees? Let you run a business and collect up all the fees. The government. The government can. And the government can, 'cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good. The government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions, like healthcare, climate change, pollution. Just throw away the Constitution. I wrote that, thank you. And who can give a bailout? Tell us to behave. And make the founding fathers roll over in their grave. I don't care if you hate me, I'm going to sing it anyway. Oh, the government can. And the government can go and mix it up with lies and make it all yummy, 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 yummy. The government takes everything. They're all power hungry and malicious. Their economics are fictitious. Soon we'll have to eat our dishes. Yeah. Delicious. And who can be a failure? In so many ways. And instead of getting fired, hey, we'll give ourselves a raise. California, you know what I'm talking about.